Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com, our last one for 2015. Tom Leach here along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting, and the Santa Anita Winter Meet is kicking off the day after Christmas with 4 graded stakes, including a pair of grade 1, so that's where we're focusing for this podcast, Jim, and we will start in order, so we'll take them beginning with the 4th race, the grade 3 Daytona. It's on the turf for 3-year-olds and up, down the hill at 6.5 furlongs, the turf sprint that we always see when they have the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. And big field here. Who did you like?
Yeah, when we went out there for the Breeders' Cup almost 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago, that's so cool to see them come down the hill. Of course, you see it better on TV because when you're in the grandstand at Santa Anita, you really can't see the start of it very well at all. But it's a unique course, and I always look for horses who have done well there. And so I landed on Holy Loot, the 9. Holy Loot loves a downhill course. 5 races there. He's actually finished first, second 2 times and got disqualified on one of them. So if you look at that, he's really 1, 2, and second 3 times. So he's in the money in the exacta all 5 times. So I like the outside post there. You don't look at inside post to be very good in the 6.5 furlongs out of the chute. So I like the outside post, and Holy Loot looks like he's coming into the race okay. Got beat by Richard's Boy last time out. But that was at 5 furlongs, which is not his best distance, and he's 6.5 furlongs. He's in the money every time at Santa Anita, so I'm going to give him an edge here. It's a great race. No Silence at 12, again on the outside. Won the Eddie D at this distance in October and had a rough trip in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and gets Gary Stevens from the 12th hole on the 6.5 furlongs is a good deal. And the Great War 10 is a horse. DeSormo usually comes up with a bomb at Santa Anita and Del Mar, and I think this horse is going to be a price here. He's a master at this trip, and I think the poor showing in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint might give you a good price for the Great War, but you toss that, and he almost won the Woodbine Sprint on the turf in the Arctic with a 97 buyer. So I think they thought enough of him taking the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. He didn't have a good day, but I think Wesley Ward gets him ready for this at a price.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit on the Great War. I've got him in the mix as well. I think he's a definite one to consider for a price. I ended up taking Alert Bay, who is a horse that likes the Santa Anita turf, 4 for 5 over it. Some of them at longer distances, but I remember when Bobby's Kitten won that Breeders' Cup a couple of years ago, the folks who are regulars playing Santa Anita were saying that, if you're a good miler, that's usually a good fit for the 6.5 furlong, and this horse has been good at a mile. So I'm going to take Alert Bay, the 7, and use him in exactas with the Great War, No Silent, the 12, the 8 Bench Warrant, and the 5 Big Bane Theory. Could definitely be talked into Holy Loot too. I think this is a race you definitely want to spread if you're doing multi-race bets. But I'm going to go 7, Alert Bay. 6th race is a grade 2, the Mathis Brothers Mile on the turf for 3-year-olds. I took Soul Driver in here. Didn't have a real strong opinion, but he's won 3 races in his career. 2 of them have been on the Santa Anita turf. He had trouble in the last race and still ended up with, I think, a 94 Beyer fig, so that's competitive here. And what I would do with Soul Driver, I'm going to pick him to win and then put him in a 4-horse exacta box, fueled by Bourbon. Don't like the post, but I like the horse, the 12. The 9, Vigilante, who won here at Keeneland very impressively, making a big jump up in class, but I thought that would show a lot of talent that day. Big finishing kick. And then the 6, Mr. Brightside, I like a little bit as well. But my pick's going to be the 5, Soul Driver, and then a 5, 6, 9, 12 exacta box. How about you?
I like Soul Driver. I like the kick that he has at a mile, but I think the way this race shapes up, I didn't take the other horses that you like. I like Own, the 10. I think he was even money in the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby, but Chiropractor ran a big race that day and upset him. But he was less than even money, almost 4 to 5. He's 2 for 2 at Santa Anita with multiple Grade 2 wins. Seems to fit at this level. Dan Hendricks gets him ready, and Gary Stevens is riding. I like Ohm quite a bit here, and I like him with Soul Driver, the 5. And also the 3, Crichton, a horse that might slip under the radar here. Didn't run very well in the Holiday Derby. Was 4 wide into the stretch. But you go back a few races, very consistent, and for Ian Hardy, the 3-horse Crittenden is 2 for 2 at the distance as well. So I like Ohm on top. I agree with you on Soul Driver, but we don't agree on the top choice. on top of the 10 horse over 3.5.
So move on to a couple of grade ones. The 7th is for 3-year-old fillies, the La Brea. Both of these are at 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds. This one's the filly part. You've got Cavorting, who was the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, going postward in here. Going to try to beat Cavorting?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a single in your pick fours. Cavorting was in the 14 hole in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, and I liked her that day, but she was way, way out of it. I think the pace will be a lot hotter in here. She's going to be closer to the pace, and she can run these down at the stretch. I think Cavorting is a very good bet here. Karen McLaughlin ships her out there, and if you throw away the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, I mean, she wins the test, grade 1 at Saratoga, and then she won the Prioris, the grade 2, by 2.5 and by 3 lengths. So she was on a 3-race win streak, easy to say, going into the Breeders' Cup, but the 14 hole just killed her. So I like Cavorting a lot. Ben's Duchess, the 6, is 3 for 5 at Santa Anita, stretches up to 7 furlongs, and that should suit her. Bird at the Wire is not quite the filly she was in the springtime, but she's got a lot of back class, so I would throw her in the exactas and tries as well, but I would take Cavorting the 3 on top.
I am going to try to beat her, probably against my better judgment. I was looking at her 2 biggest buyer figures were at 6 furlongs, so maybe she's a little better at 6 than at 7. I wanted to talk myself into Bird at the Wire, so I'm going to do that. She ran well around 1 turn in a couple of races at Gulfstream last winter, so could be one of those deals where it turns out that's she's a late running sprinter, is the best part of her game. Maybe I like that Mike Smith takes the ride, very good big money rider. And then the last 2 have been against older fillies, pretty good fields that she caught in those races at Churchill. Now she drops back against straight 3-year-olds. So I'm going to try Bird at the Wire. Mainly, I think the price will be nice there compared to Cavorting. But if you're doing multi-races, I'd take Cavorting and Bird at the Wire. And I'm just looking for one shot to upset Cavorting. But if you're doing multi-races, you definitely want to include Cavorting. And on the off chance that Cavorting isn't as good at 7, I'm going to use Bird at the Wire also with Maybelline and Ben's Duchess, but a bigger exacta on the 1-3 box for Bird at the Wire and Cavorting. 8th race is also a grade 1, the Malibu. It's the boys' half of this, 7 furlongs. And I took Kerry McLaughlin in here. He's got 2 lightly raced, very talented horses. I took the 3 Watershed. This one was sensational in his debut at Saratoga last summer. And off that, they threw him right into a grade 1, which is an uncharacteristic move for Kieran. And the horse ran 4th to Runhappy in the King's Bishop and really ran pretty well. Then they dropped him back into a one other than allowance race, and he won it as you would expect. Got some confidence, I'm sure, and showed more tactical speed. And I'm going to take Watershed here over his stablemate because of that experience in the grade 1. And I'm going to use Watershed, bet him to win, and then use him with Lord Nelson, Runhappy, and El Kabir in exactas. Runhappy certainly is on paper the pick, but I think there's some bad karma there, and I think horses probably can pick up on some of that sometime with the trainer and the owner and all that mess that happened right after the Breeders' Cup. And the horse is now shipping all the way to California, hadn't run since the Breeders' Cup, and it just seemed to be some red flags there for me on Runhappy that I'm going to try to beat him. How about you?
I kind of agree with you on the karma. There'll be a lot of people pulling against the horse, and when the horse's fault that the owner and the trainer got on the wrong side of each other. And Laura Wallers is the trainer now, and she's the manager for the mattress guy, McInvale. But he just looks so good. I mean, I really was against him in the Breeders' Cup, and he won. He won for fun. I mean, he didn't kill these horses. Private Zone should have run away with it, but Runhappy ran it down the stretch. I just think he's a freak. So I would take Runhappy. He's not going to be a good price. Got 2 chances to beat him. That he hates his new trainer. He hates the track that he's never run over. So he hadn't been to Santa Anita. So there are a lot of things that should be red flags. And I took Marking a little over Watershed, and I don't really know why. Watershed is certainly impressive in the King's Bishop. It was raced against better competition, but Marking's 2 races are incredible. Unless Kano comes out to ride him, and he's got a little bit of a recency edge. He ran in November, and I don't know why they haven't run Watershed since October 15th. Obviously, that was too close to the Breeders' Cup to get him into a Breeders' Cup race, but Marking has done nothing wrong. So if I were taking an alternative to Runhappy, I would take the other Karen McLaughlin, and maybe the smart thing to do would be box those 2 and hope Runhappy doesn't run very well. Lord Nelson, the 7, Has to be considered off his local resume. He's 2 for 4 at Santa Anita and 1 for 2 the trip, but I think he's a notch below the horses coming from the East Coast here.
It's a really nice card to start the after Christmas portion of the horse playing and the start of the Santa Anita Winter Meet that leads up to their big day in April on the Santa Anita Derby. So best of luck with your wagers, and keep your Keeneland Select account fully funded, and get out to the Red Mile in Lexington for simulcasting during the holidays, and a good chance to get away when you've got family in town. You need a little break, maybe? Get out to the Red Mile and do a little simulcasting. Jim, very Merry Christmas to you and to all of our listeners each week, and wish everybody good luck on the Santa Anita card on Saturday.
Same to you, Tom, and your family. And remember, we are open every day during the Christmas break, except for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So we'll be open the entire next week in between the time. So maybe people will have time off and be able to visit the Red Mile or new facility.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.